funny, both these teams, the last time they played Fracture was on the same day back in stage 1 of last year, April 25th. They were both playing mirror comps. It was the Breach, Tejo, Cypher, as boring as can possibly be.
And I mean, that was the most boring time for Fracture because it was breached out. This is more exciting, right? EG going back to almost that 2023 comp, playing the Sova Breach. I'm super excited to see that. I think Com has been the most creative player on this map historically with that agent, but I actually think the NRG read is a little more interesting. That Phoenix has gotten more and more popular. It's a map where farming orbs is very strong, where you want to have early ideas to take aggressive main control. Phoenix is really good for all of those things, but they're of course kind of giving up that extra oomph of initiator utility with that breach that EG is bringing in that historically was a big pick on Fracture.
Yeah, so important for those early fights and whatnot, but we are starting off with the Samsung OLED match start. Jumping into the pistol round here with NRG on the attack, and we're going to get a first-hand look at how this Phoenix is going to operate here on Fracture.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it already. In classic Fracture form, it's aggressive early. EG take a look towards the north side. We're set up to crunch and instead just walk back through underpass as the execute comes out from NRG.
Yeah, a little bit of a pop here onto the B site with Kiko fighting forward. This early aggression catching EG off guard, who were going all the way underneath through underpass. Now completely trading sides of the map with NRG back in spawn.
It's tough for Digizin now. He's alone, has to play his cards right here to make a pinch happen.
Yeah, here goes Okeanos, hurling himself into the side. It's Digizin actually on the other side to secure a couple of his own. While EG are now onto the site, putting pressure down onto the spike. Ethan will claim his. Only 2 left standing. 4 Evil Geniuses. The Suva is so low in the corner, just pinged away at. As now Bao tries to push off those attackers. It will be Ethan for 3 and NRG taking the pistol.
One thing that really impressed me with NRG in their first win of this stage was how good the post plants looked in that last match, both obviously on the Pearl, where they didn't lose a round on attack, but also, or excuse me, on the Breeze rather, but also earlier in that series on their Lotus. I thought they have really good protocols of how to fight forward and kind of sacrifice Mata to buy time while still having players who are playing that late delay, looking a little bit more similar to like the 2024 times where everyone was full offsite, full post plant. I think finding a really good balance between that and the aggression. Fracture normally a map that tends to become pretty retake heavy with the defenders liking to go aggressive, take space either towards top or bottom side, and then kind of fight back in from there.
Yeah, most maps operate with the assumption that the attackers are the ones that sort of define where the points of engagement are going to be on the map. Defense is the one, and again, it's this walk down through underpass, only a 1-for-1, and as soon as NRG see those 4 players going for the push, they instantly fill into the space, look to punish on the other side. Mata's first 2 shots don't find too much of anything, and this fight into heaven, look at that calm. Right-click kill on the Classic.
It's a little weird now. Ethan low on health, close quarters. These fights are good for the pistols.
Oh, calm steps into it though, gives a path back in. Ethan now with back-to-back high-impact rounds there on the fade.
And off of last week where he
there's 2 1 HP players, this is really winnable.
Still though,
if Digizin connects on the Brock with Headhunter, this round's pretty much over.
Left in this round for NRG.
Good news.
So I don't know how I feel about this.
Left for EG.
30
Just have to take these fights dry and win them.
But NRG only have 1 smoke for Brock, so he throws it right in the middle of the site. Ping down onto Supa, and Supa will fall. NRG patient in their approach here. Chuck down the spike, Digizin. What do you have? Not a whole lot of anything. NRG, keep it calm there for the second.
Yeah, and in the end, keeping 3 alive, the damage is not that big a deal for NRG. That round got really scary though. I think that fight up towards heaven was the pivotal point right here, right? Where Com goes for this re-swing looking for information, but it's just a little ahead of Okeanos, and what could have been a high-low with pistols where you get something going is instead Ethan just picking them apart. Good for them.
Yeah, putting in their hours, getting their overtime. Now NRG though could be in a little bit of danger here. Breach stun ready to go into main. Actually, just a double dash up high. Check out Mata's position. Not something you see every day or ever really.
The Waylay's gotten a lot less favor since the nerfs, and
nice shot from Ethan.
That doesn't matter when Ethan's hitting shots like that. Oki was just trying to go for a jiggle peek there.
They have the ult, they probably just go B.
Short stick there, getting tossed the Marshall after the last round, but it doesn't even matter.
to my point though, this agent is so good at fighting into your utility, baiting it all out, and then refracting. And that's the strength of hers that kind of took a back seat to the combo with the hinder to go aggressive and set another duelist up. But it's something that is going to be really good into double initiator teams on this map like EG, who will want to play a lot of trap plays and re-clears into mains.
Well, that drone did spot Mata up on top of the box. Here's a couple of other players. So one of the nice things about this Sova is that it sort of denies NRG's ability to play these heavy freezes waiting for the reswing when EG have the info.
Yeah, EG's just been walking around the map. They have the right stack here, but the Fade Out makes it still difficult to hold.
And a lot of utility to try and stall out the hit. There's the counter stun. We're down to 30 seconds on the clock. And NRG don't really have an out plan. Fighting now into sand. As Evil Geniuses bunker down, 2 on the site. Still Calm playing back into spawn. NRG have 20 seconds to make something of this. And it's not going to be there. 2 kills already go NRG's way. Bao alive on site 4 now. That's a nice shot. And it brings it into a 1-on-2.
Digizen's just so far away.
But he's fast on his flank. A chance in the 1-on-2.
Molly to cut him off. NRG know he's here. Mata's down on 43 HP though. Still a brutal 1-2 punch for NRG. High low, that's the first for Digizen. Digizen will see it through. At the last moment for Evil Geniuses, they will win their first.
Truly a bright spot in EG's lineup for a stage that's been so rough for them thus far. Digizen again coming up in these late rounds, in these clutches for the squad. And this, honestly, it looked like it should have been an EG round even earlier on. The util to stall off that fade ult was really good. How'd you make a nice decision? Pivot back through sand, and even despite that, we're just a few seconds, like one more kill away from being full stalled. Thankfully for EG, they had the clutch to boots and at least get their round back in, but the money's kind of tight off of the amount of players that died there.
Should be all right with Digizen having the tour de force able to go. Bao with the Rolling Thunder as well. So some creative options for EG in this round, where underpass might actually be the most important point of contention. Ethan wiggled his way down there early on.
Yeah, you saw the first 2 rounds, EG went for north side plays into a rewalk underpass.
And here we go. The fight into the site from Mata. Nobody home for now. Arcade is really where EG are choosing to take this fight. Sitting right around the corner there. Mata will see the barrel, and that's a perfect timing with Kiko delivering on the other side as well. Now inside of the smoke, Bao might want to call in the ultimate. Cancels it as Supa falls in Arcade. That would have been the difference maker in this round, but now the initiators of Evil Geniuses have nothing really left to do.
And look at the setup for NRG. Great crossfires, but Bao just 1 for 1 there. Shouldn't be enough as Calm wasn't in a position to fight up through that smoke.
Seemed a little bit hopeful there from Bao, barreling into the site. And this kind of calls back to, you know, something you were talking about earlier on, where defending teams will often play one really active side of the map and the other side more for retake. Here, I think, almost because they had the chamber operator, they're kind of playing both sides of the map, and as a result, you could see Bao never really got into a position that could use that ultimate.
Mata there at the end to clean up Calm, so no survivors means the money's going to be real bad for EG. But yeah, NRG are doing a good job, I think, in these early rounds, figuring out where that strong side is and making the right reactions because of it. You mentioned Ethan going for that early underpass walk. That showed to him that it was likely, if they were holding here, to be more of this passive setup, and that walk-in from Mata is so good to completely catch Digizen off guard and take the most dangerous player out of the round.
And I think it's good calling, too, from NRG to try and get that information. They're also using a Cypher camera on the north side, placing that down to make sure Ethan's a little bit more safe. Because you remember those first 2 rounds, EG went for those big walks. And, well, this time it's going to come out a dish for a quick kill.
Yeah, good night to Mata. And that means NRG concede the north side of the map, except for the Cypher trip.
Yeah, Chamber's one of those agents that's always been relevant on Fracture. Maybe not always the go-to pick, but especially when attackers are dividing up, can thread the needle very nicely, just like Ethan does there, right in front of the stun to bring it down 4-4.
Yeah, and that's a change from the Breach of old, right? Those nerfs to his stun. I think old Breach stun hits there, but instead Ethan just dips away safely.
Now, Okeanos, the only guy with a sheriff for Evil Geniuses, and actually he starts shifting over to the wrong side of the map. NRG want to pivot back towards A, where EG have no forward player, no way of getting that early information, although they do step out of B main, so by now, Evil Geniuses might have some idea this A hit's going to come on in.
But with the Cypher up, NRG knows that flank will be coming through. They can position to account for it, as this post flank will be an inevitability. About pretty much nothing he can do here ahead of the smokes.
Yeah, that tripwire just got broken on the other side, so now NRG know what's up.
You see him shift to planting open instead of just planting for main. It doesn't matter when Ethan's just killing everyone. That's 4 for him.
Well, Ethan. 4 kills already. That comes after 3 in the first round. 2 right after. Ethan absolutely tearing things up on Fracture, and there he is for the ace. EG never stood a chance.
11-2. It's what? Round 5, and he's 1 off of his second fade ult. This guy is having a hell of a day here.
My fragging IGL. Having a great time in there. A lot of people on his screen. This Classic's not doing too much to him.
A few times already now where I'm seeing EG, something that Des was talking about, clumped up in a position to trade each other, and then someone swings and they're just kind of caught off guard. Someone has util out, someone's not quite in the right spot to trade, and these NRG players, all of them, are so good individually that they'll punish you. You know, you look at this roster and you probably think the weakest individual generally is Ethan, and he's this good.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild to see. Now, of course, falling down 4-1, Evil Genius is going to call their first timeout. This is an interesting situation. The coach on the left-hand side of your screen, Mikol, stepping in to fill for Potter while she is out for personal reasons, but already falling behind early. Now you're in the driver's seat. What are you telling your team?
Yeah, it's tough because Potter, we know, is normally a coach who's really proactive in her timeouts. She likes to give like a list of rounds of here's what's going wrong, here is the sequence I want to see to try and get back into that. And I wonder, after working with her for some time, what his own approach to these timeouts is going to be. It's obviously a bit of a tough spot to have to step into that role, but he's been the assistant coach with this EG team for some time now, so he's at least embedded in that system.
Yeah, he's fully integrated. So the call seems to be send your breach up into tower, who still has the Rolling Thunder, mind you.
Yeah.
And what can Okeanos do behind that on the Neon?
Some classic Fracture early round ideas on defense. Trap play, stun, and you refight.
Well, I don't even think Bao was holding any of that utility, was looking to break some utility instead. Here we go, that Prowler charging on in. There's going to be the run it back too. Although Energy have been really halted here. Some good utility traded both ways. Kiko finally for 3 snaps around, finds the player in heaven. That was beautiful.
It's a really good molly.
Burning to death. That didn't work.
That was so nice from NRG though. This is a meta where you are so, I mean, just Valorant in general. You are always at an advantage if you're the second team to act, if you're the ones to refight in. And there, NRG diffused the trap play, step back, and as those players are swinging, in comes the Phoenix Flash. All of their utility gets volleyed. Just really great stuff from them. And now Digger's in with this operator he had saved up so long for.
It's tough.
Doesn't have much of a choice but to save.
Well, the thing was, he was trying to kill the planter when he retreats, but ironically, Kiko still holding on to the flame wall, so didn't actually have to use that during the hit. That ends up being the escape plan. I guess good news is Digizin hasn't fired the bullet, so NRG can't know for certain that the op is in play, but checking the money.
Chambers not going for it, I would be pretty suspicious. So it's a 5-1 start for NRG. Looked really good on this attack side. I think that EG has had a lot of the classic Fracture ideas of set up early with 3 strong with your breach, your duelist, and then refight off of contact. And I mean, NRG has just been so ready for it. Look at this, right? All the utility use, in comes the flash, and just beautiful shooting from Kiko.
Yeah, Kiko is also stepping out of the smoke with his flash and like pre-turning it as well. Got dinged by it just a little bit, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if we're talking about the players that performed last week, Kiko was one of them. I mean, such an outstanding performance from him. It was his second best game he's played since joining NRG.
Wow, we are all the way out here up onto the north side from Okeanos. 3 ultimates in play, 3 major ults for Evil Geniuses. Maybe a failing of theirs so far has been that these early fights are not finding their mark. Evil Geniuses have constantly either lost them out or been dodged by NRG, and well, what is Mata doing there, you might be wondering? Finding all the holes on the weak side is the answer.
Right here.
That just can't be happening that way. Not recognizing the gap that was created, Mata takes advantage, and well, there's these ults still, but it's a disadvantage retake now.
But you gotta play to win rounds at some point for Evil Geniuses. Gotta throw these into the mix. How long have we had that Rolling Thunder? 3, 4 rounds maybe. It's been a while. So the fight now back into main. The NRG are holding for. That's a nice stun. And Supa is there as well. As the walls come down, though, Scuba's there for 3. No one on EG is holding the right direction. They're shut down again without ripping a single ult.
4 ultimates available. None of them get used on that retake. No one looks right on the retake. That is a disastrous round from EG. And that's even discounting this beginning where they're just unaware of Mata's possibility of walking up here. But, I mean, Okeanos looks like he's just going for a walk in the park. No idea where to look.
Oh, come on. I love the Cypher pick here, bro.
And Scuba's just having a chill time on the Cypher.
Hey, why not? Okay, so that now makes 4 in a row.
Yeah, now we're on an eco, so we don't really want to use our ults this round.
Yeah, don't mind the round 3 that EG won off of a 1v2 clutch at the end from Digizin.
If this was an honest game, it would be 7-0.
Yet Evil Geniuses need to come up with something here. Reminder, they went for this pick. Historically, Evil Geniuses has been the Fracture team. All time, in the partnership era, Evil Geniuses 13 wins to 3 losses on Fracture. Of course, most of those coming back during
From the
2023.
team that won the World Championship, yeah.
Sure, but even back in 2025, they were positive, 2-1 on the year. But now things a little bit dire as one of those ultimates comes into play. EG already found the first pick of the round.
And look at how much util they use. An ultimate, a stun, a flash, and 1 Phoenix Melee deals with it all.
And NRG are pinched now. Stepping out from B main is Digizin. Mata on the wrong side of the world for NRG, and with an outlaw of all things too. Makes his position fairly precarious.
He'll tuck away from the drone though. EG will not know there's a player wrapping dish.
It's if NRG can force these players back into line, that'll be big. Here comes the ultimate from the skies. Ethan claims his first victim, and now pushing these players into the flank. Digizin is showing up. Evil Geniuses might have cooked up around here. Brock stays alive for now, but B main is a problem. Spam back through the smoke will find its mark, as now Mata needs his own clutch with 15 seconds remaining on the clock. Lights up B main, and should have time to plant the spike. He's actually holding for it. Can't stick for that for much longer.
Good shot.
Takes some damage in return. Mata spots the first and the second. Must reload. In the clutch,
Well played
he's
by Mata
good
there.
for it. It's a heartbreak for Evil Geniuses as NRG move up 7-1.
Christy, they used every single ultimate. All 4 ults on their eco round. And they lose to a Mata 1v2.
Well, you know, they won their round 3 with a 1v2, so it's only fair that NRG get their own in kind.
That is the worst case scenario. I mean, well played by Mata. He isolates those fights beautifully, but
This is what I was expecting from NRG the entire year. Not
well, at least they have money now.
3 weeks.
You're really reaching.
Hey,
Deep
it's the
into
little
stage
things,
1.
you know? Digizin.
My Phoenix is opping.
We love
And
it.
he
Ooh.
wins the duel.
It takes me back to Fracture in the good old days where, you know, you get shot in the back of the head, run in the wrong direction. Just having that attack op to punish the chamber on the other side is a beautiful look for NRG.
Yeah, when I'm watching these EG games, I feel like moments of that are happening too often where a player is just rotating, doesn't calculate where someone could have walked into. Second time it's happened this game, and are they saving a 3v5? I think so.
You seem to be correct, Mimi. An unfortunate situation to be sure, especially like their max bonus, or their loss bonus maxed
Got
out
reset,
about 4
yeah.
rounds ago.
I mean, early on, that
Yeah.
round 3, and then they just haven't won a round since, so you'll have guns. Can you do anything with it?
We'll see.
Digizin will get another op
The
next
chamber
round
next
from his
round,
ult.
But now you know that the other side might be opping, so actually stepping forward to take that aggressive angle. Now you're out of that one. Are you actually looking for it? I'm not so sure.
Has Digizin gotten an op kill in this game? I don't think so. Despite having it a couple times, NRG have just not really given him any chances. And I mean, talk about these guns getting saved.
Oh,
Only
Bao
one
gets
gets
hunted
gapped.
right
I
to
mean,
the
I actually
end.
don't think it makes a difference. They should
It's
have the money,
unfortunate.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I suppose at the end of the day, they'll brush it off, move on to the next one.
Yeah, that moment is tough for Supa. You thought he had a timing to maybe isolate a pick on the weak side of NRG's crunch, but it's not fast enough.
Mimi, can you sell me a cope? Like, is there something to be said? Like,
You've been doing that.
Would you rather start on attack versus defense on this round?
No.
Like, no, you want to be playing defense?
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't. I don't think it matters hugely what side you start on. My copium tanks are empty.
Me looking furiously around for any straws in the vicinity.
They have guns again, except, yeah, it's good enough. They got a tour de force. Come on, guys.
Kiko still attack-offing on the Phoenix. He had so much fun playing the Jet last weekend on Breeze that he's like, well, actually, I just want to do this on everything. That's an interesting pack
by
for
Superman.
Mana. I mean, these guys are crazy, fighting all the way up and getting rinsed.
I don't know if they're
Column's
aware of Kiko being here.
Com might have the read on that. Saw this way back on
Doesn't swing out.
round that Energy ran a similar look.
Yeah.
But
player standing.
yeah, okay.
Another great kill from Superman.
NRG get a little too big for their
Beautiful.
boots there.
Yeah, the full B main execute was definitely a little bold. Good on them. They do, if nothing else, they do have excellent utility to just full stall you if you go for an exec.
Now, there are some plays in which I like that double dash on top of Generator there. Like,
was this one of them?
Well, unfortunately, someone was just like ratting it out in center side.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is if enemy team is playing around Generator and like hiding inside that smoke,
and to be fair, if you have like a breach or something, there are players that like to do that kind of thing.
You'll just be sitting there with utility in hand.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, but it does just get shut down if anyone has their guns out and can see you.
Okay, early aggression attempt again from EG North side, behind their chamber off.
Calling in the reinforcements in case Kiko's up there.
Yeah, miss a shot. Okay, we have the Avengers here.
Oh, well, Kiko's not offering this round, of course, because he has the run it back. So out into Santi he goes. Good stun to slow him down. Okeanos sends him
Then
back.
picks up a kill on Scuba.
Unfortunately, that is just the Phoenix kill, so it doesn't actually count into the kill feed. Has
Good flash, just allows them to cross into
the
sight.
These last couple of rounds have been a little bit more relaxed, I feel, from NRG. Just fully running these execs off the rip, and Evil Geniuses have been shutting it down to their credit.
Superman's throwing in his molly.
Stuck in the middle of sight from Kiko.
Really well played by EG.
To take a third round.
And this is more working towards the EG playbook. Your opponent goes for something fast, you have great utility to stall them out. You have a very strong weak side when you have the chamber, with that player who is willing to just post up, walk forward. You saw in this round he got the pick onto the opposing extremity player, and that meant they could just pinch on the site. So, something going here for EG, but if I'm looking at the other side, I would love to see NRG just kind of slow things back down, look to bait out plays in towards main, figure out the strong side, do the things that they were doing excellently for the first 9 rounds of this game. Yeah,
that started with camera placement, typically from Scuba, up into Arcade. There it goes down to scout it out. See Digis in on a much more passive line.
This is a bit more normal. Mata, one away from his ultimate. We'll look to get that one online.
Got a conversion paths up. That's probably gonna get ripped into heaven.
Send this one on a B hit.
Yeah.
That's the last time I remember him using it was throwing it up here and diving into heaven, and that's exactly where he is so quick on that peak. And,
I don't know if they're aware of Superman. No, Superman kills Scuba. No, Kiko shreds. Just Okeanos left.
Falls to Okeanos.
Okeanos is not having a good game today. That Satchel just makes it worse.
Brutal start to the round. Mata just executing the player up in tower. And it won't get any better for them with NRG finishing things out here 9-3.
Yeah, I want to see what Ethan was up to south side. They went for a 3-player crunch to rotate in and flank for this retake, and I think Ethan just literally owned them 1-on-3. There's that opening kill, which is so pretty from Mata. And here's Ethan playing around the box and knife in hand for Calm, and shoots his former teammate in the head.
That's the lot of them.
An unfortunate way for things to close out here at the end of the half. We're gonna have more coming up right after this.
We got this old mattress
Waterbed.
and the receipt.
How about you beat it with a better deal on one of these fresh setups?
We can't do that.
Bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill for a better deal today.
Guess you're not as cool as Verizon.
I'm just gonna leave it.
Not much longer now, and I will also take to the skies.
Me too.
You? No, you will always be a worm.
Just wait and see.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The only hope EG has is if this goes all 3 maps. But they somehow need to beat NRG on Pearl, so Good luck. This is the game I care about.
Well, for only our second time getting to see Fracture here in Americas, I would say NRG is making a pretty good show of things so far with a very unique comp. That Waylay and Phoenix coming up big for the team.
Yeah, I think this is the one map where I'm still kind of happy to see the Waylay in the mix. I think it's cool how well that agent can still do it, baiting out utility, being able to refract away, and getting that hard dash is great to get out of chokes on a map like this. Combine that with the Phoenix, who's just a constant nuisance in mains, getting aggressive, farming orbs. Looked good on attack, and I think it's going to be some similar themes here on defenses. NRG looked to close this one out pretty cleanly.
Oh, now one of the things I'm already looking at with the Phoenix holding the curveball in hand is Phoenix playing on the side of the map with the Cypher.
Yeah,
you can run trap plays with yourself, something that a Breach might not be able to do as effectively. And
and that's foul.
Yeah, having the shorty in the back there. Unfortunately, does have to pull the trigger, and well, that play didn't work out at all, did it? Bit unfortunate for him. We were so excited to see what he could show us, but now EG in full control of the site.
And as it is Fracture, there's of course a flank coming in for the defensive retake. NRG already to B main. EG are super clumped up here. They're trying to drone and re-clear some space now.
I've never seen so many people playing tower. There were 5 for a little bit there. Oh, nice shot. Out of Digis in, working off the flash there as well. Will eventually fall down, but the cost of a couple of NRG members. Okeano swings off the flash too, but right back into Scuba's line of fire. Switches over into the Ghost. Not too much time to deal with here is Scuba, so back onto the spike, and once again you can see that post-plant utility already giving you that early warning of the problems to be if EG get into comfortable post-plants on this attack side, but good on them, they take the pistol.
Yeah, there's a chance, even if it's slim, now for EG. You saw in that first half, those last few rounds where NRG just went for hard execs getting shut down, and now this one punishing the trap play from Kiko that ended up making him look a little bit silly. I do like the idea though, I agree with you. But not having a player there to actually break the dart means it's pretty tough to get away from.
Nice flash, baby.
That was fiendish laughter.
Yes.
I would call
a good
that.
word to describe it.
You know what? When Dig is in, feeling good, he can be quite the threat. Marshall in hand too, hops up and a quick teleport away. And we talk about the trap ideas with the Cypher on defense. That's something that EG didn't really get to run with their comp, the double initiator, a little bit more proactive on the defense side. So NRG can show us a very different look, although this is looking fairly similar to EG's eco round after losing the initial pistol.
They could farm Digins up here.
Start for EG.
Yeah, the EG comp is a lot more predicated on just your duelist player jiggling, and then you dump the utility as soon as you see something. So you get more options when you bring that Cypher into play. I don't think the Cypher generally is like super strong, at least compared to how it used to be against Neon.
Don't peek me, bro, don't peek me.
How would you describe that laugh?
I would describe that as a mature confidence.
A mature confidence.
That's what I would give him.
Yeah.
He's giving some advice to the players on the other side.
I see.
Now, the don't peek me advice was under the understanding there wouldn't be any flashes or utility behind it. I think Kiko can comfortably step forward for a peek like that.
Same idea is on the other side, NRG getting a bit aggressive in A main. Digizin will pretty much constantly be holding this kind of extremity. He has a chance at a fight and TP's back, but Mata might look to go for more here.
Wow, they continue on the hunt. And it's going to be highly successful.
I love that. You heard last round where his CP was. You hear again that it's close, and you know that that chamber is almost always alone.
Now what it does do is give up Dish and the A site. So now NRG have to come up with a plan for the retake. And fighting back through A main. Right now, Ethan has been separated from Mata for a moment. Mata been covering the flank. Now links up with his leader. But this is difficult for NRG. NRG split up 3 players in spawn, 2 in main. Evil Geniuses continuing to ping pong these fights back and forth. Now moving back into the site. So it's NRG to regroup. Evil Geniuses continue hunting forward. I like this look from EG, but it's getting a little messy now. Scuba with a couple kills, and now Calm into the clutch. The spike plant's not quite going to be there. With Mata covering his diffuser, NRG up to double digits.
That's a tough round for EG. They got pinched from both spawn and main, knew that they lost that space, and so the call comes in, let's commit elsewhere. Instead, fighting through the site to try and pinch the players coming back from sand, but with where the spike was planted, and with NRG actually turning away from that and making their strong side back in main, just completely backfires as those players get cut down in the open.
Yeah, little details there, being Scuba going back up the rope to take the high line as they double swing through sand. I think if they're all coming in on the ground there, that fight is a very different story.
Yeah, it's at least even to be able to brawl for that, but all of that was even being given the chance after their chamber died early, and it was that 5-on-4 retake.
Wow, NRG with the full south side crunch, it looks like. Hurling on down here, but Okeanos was waiting for it. And now the reinforcements have arrived, but there's just bodies on the floor. It doesn't even matter. Okeanos lights it up for 4.
All this guy had to do is get on
for the second
attacks.
ace of this game.
It's the best
First
player.
one went to his opponent, Ethan.
Well, who's alive on the other side? The very man himself. Okeanos would have to hunt down for it.
Spike planted.
Now it's a 1-on-3, and Ethan wants to play this out. Just a bulldog in hand.
EG have decent coverage. But Okeanos out in the open, and the ace will not be had. And now some concerns. Calm on 11 HP, has some shock darts, try and pepper at Ethan with. But out into the open is a good line for Supa, and EG stabilize.
That was an incredible round from Okeanos. You see a giddy look on his face after completing that one. It was an interesting Southside crunch idea from NRG. You saw these double cages to scale up and get a really deep Phoenix splash, but the issue actually came on the other side as NRG was prepping to use all that utility. EG was already feeling the pressure.
I almost got my first ace in VCT, bro. I'm so sorry, bro.
Who's he apologizing to?
I don't know. Maybe dying hunting for the ace at the end there.
Swinging out in the open like that. Maybe. But you know what? For your first ace in Americas, we'll give it to you. Maybe you'll have a chance later on.
Who knows?
NRG, doubtful they have chances for an ace this round. The only purchase being that Bucky for Kiko.
Cypher just standing in the open with that classic. As EG are really taking their time with this one. They don't have control north side other than just that chamber trip, making sure no one crosses over. So whenever this execute comes through, they basically have to full commit it through either just main on A or pinching underpass on B.
Yeah, now that they have pushed Ethan back, they have a few more options, but still nothing convincing. Nice pick, catching Scuba, retreating off of the B site. But still, Evil Genius is really timid in the approach, waiting for their teammates to regroup with them. See how much they actually use to get out here. That will be the ultimate from Okeanos. Realizing time not necessarily on EG's side, not wanting to take any chances here. And ends up being a good call. That's 3 kills for Bao, and the sole purchase of the round is a mile away in Kiko's hands.
Yeah, well traded there from EG. This should assuredly be a 7th round. Kiko, that Bucky in hand and the ult already secured.
Where's he going?
His only motivation is to die to Spike.
Going up.
Interesting strategy to cover off the the tripwire there from Digizin.
And now we wait.
Yeah, I suppose this means that there's no ult orbs going to be handed over to EG, who might have gone on a little bit of a hunting mission to see if Calm could get his online. Even though you can see that Calm has some idea that that trip is definitely not perfect information. So Calm goes in on the hunt, now tries to swing it back around. Those shots do end up connecting, and Calm will take him down.
He's giggling too. It looked like he thought about just running away and then realized there wasn't enough time and just turns back and, I'll fight him, whatever.
I mean, either way, he's getting the ult orb.
It's true.
Live or die. Nice sense out from Calm there to hunt that player down, and now 3 ults online for EG.
Yeah, you saw Digizin get that pick there, scaling up towards B, and that's something I want to see more of, right? Pressure one side strong with your double initiators, with your Neon, and let him work the other side and get active on these lurks. I think that's one of the biggest win conditions for EG picking this chamber.
Now for EG, one of the big problems on their defense half was they never got in good positions to rip the ultimates. Full geniuses, 2 ults in, nothing to be found for it.
Okay,
Should we bring
I
up that
seem
this
to
is
be
the
back.
second round with 4 ultimates that EG have lost?
Well, you've done it.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, I'm back.
Because that is another brutal situation where the biggest mistake of that round was the way that Oki was scaling. He was ahead of any of that utility. Dies before the ults even come in.
Barbecue time, the call out. I'm watching to see if Mata can get the hindrance, and then Brock opens up the skies. That's the idea here up on Dish. And Evil Geniuses must be cautious. Luckily for them, I guess, is Okeanos leading the charge. And now the stun and the barbecue. Good God, it is brutal. Okeanos fried up and delivered to NRG.
He didn't mean to get tagged by the dart, but it worked out perfectly in the end.
That is killer.
Good night, Okeanos.
That's the microwave on maximum settings there, down in 5 seconds.
That's what happens when you put a metal spoon inside.
Okeanos, just the metal spoon in this situation. About as threatening as that to NRG in this round. Oh my God, he's got a spoon. Watch out, Ethan. Gun in hand. Chucking some bullets down, but he'll eventually fall, giving Evil Geniuses a real chance in this round.
That's what I'm looking for. You get pressure one side, let Digizin work the other. He gets a pick. Now that opens EG up to
30 seconds
a side here. Digizin, he was running back. Now they decide to sprint back towards A, but if they're going main, there's a Phoenix here in only 20 seconds. This is still a little scary.
And that is Kiko with the operator back in hand. He's turned his sights up into drop and finds Digizin again.
15 seconds.
Continuing to dominate in that off one-on-one, and now slowing down B main. There's just nothing Evil Geniuses can do here. I don't even know if they have time to get onto the site, let alone kill Kiko here. Not a chance. NRG on map point.
That is a disaster of a round for EG. I mean, it starts off poorly, but they had a way back in those 2 picks, and I think they overcooked a little bit in how they wanted to commit. Hesitated for a moment, wanted to go back and take south side before they fought. And that delay allows Kiko to get this forward position and means that they don't have any reserve when his utility, when his op starts stalling out. I mean, yeah, that's my reaction to what happened to EG as well.
Evil Geniuses, by losing their, entry at the start of the round to that util combo, all of a sudden
I feel like
don't
it's
have
a
that
bit
ability
late
to
to
accelerate
take this
as
time out.
easily either. So really got lost in the sauce there during the round. So now that second time out of the game for Evil Geniuses at the final moment for Mikol.
It's tough because I think there's been multiple moments where you could have seen EG getting back into this game. The round with 4 ults in the first half.
The round with 2 ults in the second.
Yeah, the round with 4 ults in the second half as well. And then this one as well, where they're in a 4-on-3, have a chance, and fortunately for EG, they've just failed at the final hurdle in all of these. And now looking down the barrel of a 12-7 scoreline with energy ahead in the ult economy. This is looking like a grim start to the series for a team that's already 0-3.
Yeah, especially trying to change things up here and go for a fracture pick. Most teams are just banning this. And we've only had 1 pick so far.
Yeah, it's only been allowed into a veto twice.
Yeah.
The first time was as a map 3 that didn't get played.
So now EG forcing up with what they can. And really all bundled together down here outside of A main. Energy are playing pretty restricted with their own space on the map. The only thing they've really contested so far is the two players they have working off each other by dish.
EG has been having Digizin split push pretty much every round. This time, he's just with the pack. All 5 players posturing for A main.
Yeah, and even just having these players up here, it's so easy to jump out of the smoke and support your fighters on the site. So as everyone works out into sand now, Ethan informs his team. NRG drop on down, trying to get in front of that ultimate. Pushing block away from the rest of the group. NRG are split up. Look at this, players all around inside of the smoke. Nice crossfire, but Evil Geniuses fight on through it. Get that player in the back of the head too. And it's only Brock here, pinged out through the smoke. He's taken low. Evil Geniuses navigated a really tough round to get the spike on the ground.
Yeah, credit to Digizin. I think he makes a key play there, walking into the smoke spawn, but it's picked the other way by Mod. It won't matter. NRG just going for the save.
Yeah, they've got the big guns, so no reason to risk those falling over into enemy hands. Especially because, I mean, I think Evil Geniuses need every gun they can at this point. That's why Superman going on a bit of a walk, but that reposition from Mata, you just saw him in spawn, and now he's killing you outside of A main. Not so fun for Evil Geniuses, who now just have the 2 guns to see through the next.
Yeah, and with them winning the round here as well, it might mean Economy's not in a great spot in the next round, even though they've won this one.
Other things for Evil Geniuses is that NRG, if you just look at the ultimates that are going to be coming into play, they're going to be hitting their ultimates quicker than Evil Geniuses. So
yep.
Even if EG take this next round or 2, it's going to get harder for them before it gets any easier.
Is that play I'm talking about, though? Digizin taking that timing to walk towards CT and get that kill.
I'm an actor, bro. CT.
And a bit more metered reaction as he dies to the AWP at the end of it. So now with a Guardian in Bao's hand and Supa's.
You're looking in the wrong direction. I'm seeing 2 ops from NRG. That's what I'm seeing. We got 1 B main, 1 A main for our 2 duelists.
You're not used to Phoenix op?
No, look, NRG the double op. We love to see it, and
well,
maybe Digizin doesn't.
Hey guys, the ops B, we should accelerate A.
Guys, go away, get out of there. Oh god, wait, no, Mata has an ultimate that he can now throw the other direction on B2. Oh no.
And this Cypher Cam has been causing problems for EG. Always there to activate a trap play. Can see over that smoke.
Well, EG walked into a stack in the last round, and it wasn't a problem for them. Similar look this time. Oh no. There's the stun. Mata's in front of it, though. That operator again, a problem. Now Okeano's shut out of it as well. Mata is just having way too much fun with EG this round. 4 for him to close things out. That was just so simple for Mata.
They gave him 4 honorable duels that round. You shouldn't do that. He won them all. An incredibly clean map here as NRG show their first fracture of the year. EG tried to switch something up, take a pick on this one, but it looked like they were falling back on old ways, playing that classic comp that we've known this team for in the past against an NRG who innovated, who brought out the Phoenix on this map, who looked perfectly suited to bait out every trap play EG was sending. Suffice it to say, this was a clean start from the World Champs.
And even if it's just 1 win of the map fracture, I think that's going to make a lot of teams think about, oh yeah, we should just keep to the fracture bans. We already didn't want to play it, but versus NRG, maybe we need to take that one away. This was dominant from start to finish. I even think back to Ethan crushing it at the start of this one. There's still more Valorant to be played in this series. We've got Pearl coming up after this break.
vai chutar o DG. Meu Deus! DG! Does Brock know?
Ooh, he's a Noah. Really just has to push into it. Walker's waiting. Another shocky towards the sights, and there it is. Bang is brought down.
A 13-8 on Fracture for Energy and Bonkar. You're able to take the lead early on, but we are going into a Pearl where week 1 you were playing with the Waylay, week 3 it was the Neon. What should we expect for this one?
Gonna have to see, but pretty similar. But we've been talking a lot about Pearl, practicing and changing a few macro ideas and how we move around on the map, so it should be a lot better.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, everyone. And Mimi is just, she really wanted to go to OT on that one. You know, she really wanted to see where it could go, right? Mimi, that was it? Just sipping your cuppa. Just
Game's not finished.
They can't even win on Fracture, man. That's what she just said. Oh my gosh, she's crashing out here, of course. So NRG steals EG's map pick, as we had mentioned before. Mimi so eloquently said. But there were a lot of big individual moments that we were seeing in that game. Multi-kills through and through, which is what we were saying we wanted EG to do. And you got a couple of moments from that brand, from Digizin and whatnot, but for the most part, it was just NRG.
It's a nice little highlight package, really. Yeah, I mean, NRG just taking over, a couple of individual moments. We saw some pushback from Digizin from time to time, but to be honest, it just felt like, I don't know, they were kind of out-muscling EG, because to be honest with you, wasn't the biggest fan of NRG's comp or the way that they were playing Fracture in general. And that's not me trying to be a hater. I just mean, I think that when he attempted that one Southside crunch, I was confused.
Yeah, I mean, but you could kind of say the same thing to EG. They had the utility to do stuff like that, but we never really saw that. They didn't really fight for any of the space. And then in that second half, I agree with you. NRG's comp wasn't that great. They relied a lot of the time of EG playing into them, maybe going for a little flash play or maybe a trap play, but that's only when they had the ult to do so. It was really hard for them to kind of close it out there, because a lot of the time the ball was in EG's court.
Yeah, and I feel like for both these teams, I was expecting a lot more aggression, and it felt like for both teams, they were just kind of sitting on site, waiting for the other team to kind of make that first move. And so I wasn't really, what are you giggling for?
Nothing,
What's wrong?
No reason. Nothing.
Why do you keep looking above my head?
I know, nothing. Truly.
There's something on her head? I don't know.
No, I don't see anything.
What's going on
here? Can't really see it, of course. So, no. Well, let's move forward, right? Because we have, and that's also best for society. Let's do this. Let's talk about what's coming up in map 2 here, what we're going to be expecting, because we're going to Pearl. We talked and we heard from Dan Dryad talking to Coach Bonkar about what we can be expecting. We saw some change-ups. He said, for the most part, we're going to be keeping things relatively the same.
There was a lot of insight, I think, in that, though, in terms of them. You could tell he wasn't happy. Maybe he was just being incredibly Scandinavian, but he also wasn't happy with it, because they got worried by 100 feet.
FaZe collapsing, Frozen doing his best on the Palace to release Power! Okay, Frozen. That's more like it. We just heard Maui talking about how Frozen needs to start displaying why he is considered the best player on this FaZe team, and that's a great start to the map. Now they're grouped up, 3 players coming down towards CT spawn. Heavy guard awaits them, sees 2 targets, and Swiss will see him off.
It's got to be a wild feeling how quickly that round turned on its head. Nobody considered Palace until it was far too late. What a round from Frozen. And Mattis, you don't even have time to defuse. 1v3, you got to find the kills as well. It's a pistol round for FaZe. Starting this deciding map on the right foot.
I got to see that from Frozen's perspective. Coming out of Palace, there he is. The reaction out towards the ticket box as well, and the information was just flowing towards him, and he hit somewhat of a close state here in the pistol. He was looking dead there for FaZe. So Frozen resurrects them in the pistol round, and yeah, frustration for Heavy God.
Those are the rounds of G2 that you want to see them clean up as the major looms, right? Those kinds of rounds where it's like, oh, you gave yourself a great situation, 5-on-3, nailed 2 shots. You cannot let it collapse that fast. That has to be a situation where you can recover the scenario. Frozen gets 1 or 2 kills. So advantages here in round 2 towards FaZe. Second round buy from the CT side. 5-7s, MP9 on Heavy God, MP7 and a Scout. And Heavy God's got good standing in towards A main. FaZe going to be very slow to move around the map. Swiss talked about after the Fury win in an interview, just talked about the motivation of this team, because it's a huge question when you see all these changes, all this frustration building over months. His big statement was he's got great players who are motivated. He's a very motivated in-game leader.
What else would you want to see to change from their Pearl last time to this time?
That's a really big question.
Nice.
That's a really
That's
big
my analyst
question.
right there.
I mean, it's a lot, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
There's a lot of things you needed to address.
Here's what I would read into it. If
Yeah.
you know that they've been working on their defaults, their defensive defaults, and they're going to be fixing the holes and gaps that they've got in their mid of
Yeah.
Pearl, I think then you can go back to the extremities more and start
Yeah.
fighting over that, because presumably that's going to be weaker if that's where they're putting more attention,
Yeah.
because they got hard abused by 100 Thieves there.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
imagine that's where they're putting all the attention.
Sounds like what you guys are saying is like the key for them really is to firstly play ahead, identify the
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
where those favored areas are going to be, and then probably lean more into that. But we do want to get some more thoughts though on the coach, especially because he's in a really tough position, unenviable words are hard position. Here's Coach B. Cole ahead of map 2. Let's see what he has to say.
Going into Pearl next, this is talking about how in order to win against Energy, you have to be one step ahead. And Cole, you're feeling for Potter today, but you have been with the team for quite some time. In this situation, under pressure, on the verge of elimination, how is the team going to make sure that you're one step ahead?
Well, obviously we start off slow, but the momentum started building there on the second half of Fracture, and we just got to carry that forward every single time, right? Just got to keep playing, and keep playing, pretty much.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
The human body was built to move, not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically